Thank you for joining us for another episode of Delicious. Today I'm going to show you a sugar decoration that you can use for your cakes and desserts. So I've got hazelnut here. These will be dipped into a caramel sugar and it forms a shard, so you can use them in your desserts or cakes. You can use any nuts that you like. I'm using the hazelnut today. And I've got 1 cup of caster sugar. You could either use a dry method of caramelizing the sugar or a wet method of caramelizing the sugar. Wet method will contain water when you're heating up the sugar. With the dry method, it's quicker and you'll have to be very careful. The sugar will caramelize very quickly. So you'll have to watch an eye all the time to make sure once it's turned into a dark caramel, you got to just take it out from the stove. Otherwise, the sugar will get burnt. So let's get on with it, and I'll show you what sort of a consistency that we are looking at with the dry method of sugar caramelization. Now I've got the sugar caramelizing here. You can see it's just turning a slight brown color, but let all the sugar melts into it. But do not put a spoon or anything in there. Just slowly shake the pan in order for the sugar to get caramelized. So I'm just going to show you once it's done and it becomes like really dark, deep color. In order for the sugar on the side, you know how when it's caramelizing, just have a brush with a little bit of cold water and then just push that down through to the caramel, because what it does is on the side of the pan it starts caramelizing it goes a bit harder. So just make sure that you just wash that down and then shake the pan again so that it's getting closer, so it becomes really dark. So just let that melt a bit more. We need a little bit more. It's been there for about roughly 10 minutes, so I just leave it there for about another couple of minutes or so in order to get that bit darker in color. So every now and then make sure that you brush down the crystallization on the side of the pan. So a little bit more, and then we can make the decoration. Just looking for a little bit more dark color. Now the caramel is ready. I've taken from the stove top and you can see that's like really dark caramelization there. Just leave it in there as soon as you take it from the stove top. Leave it there for a couple of minutes for the caramel to just cool down a bit, and then you can dip your nuts inside. So just dip the nut there and I can see like it's really thick and it's just forming like a really gooey thickness there. So just you can see like it's getting really thick and caramelized in there. So you can just leave the nut in there holding for a while until it forms like a long shard, and then you can just take that and leave it in the baking paper to dry. So I'm just going to turn it slowly so I can just take it out of the pan, and then just I'm gonna probably just break it in there and then just leave it in the baking paper to dry. You can leave it that way, any like sort of design that you want do another one. So just dip it into the caramel and slowly pull it out. You can see like the caramel is like getting like dropped. It's really nice and thick consistency. So I'm just gonna break it slowly, because once the caramel is cooled down, it dries very quickly. So you have to be very careful. So just rolling it. Okay, I'll show you another one. Because with the sugar, you have to work very quickly, because once it's start cooling down, it goes really hard. So you have to be very quick working with it. So in order to cut that part, I'll just use another one. Just break it there. And then I can just leave it in the baking paper. Another one. You can see like it's already like forming like shards in there, because the caramel is getting a bit. So you can see, you can hold it there for a while, and while that's happening, I'll do another one, because you've got to working very quickly with it, because otherwise you won't have the caramel. It's gone like really thick now. Gotta hold it there for a while. Just slowly break those up, and then you can just leave it there for dry. Once it's dry, you can break the way you want it. So I'm just going to leave it there. Even the shards that formed here, you can make them in desserts as well. If you see like these little shards, you can just make them into like a little ball in your dessert as well. I think it's gone a bit thicker now. You can't probably dip it in, see. So you have to be working very quickly, because now you can see it's gone a bit hard, so you can't really use it. It's like gone like a toffee. It's like a stone dry. So we'll use the ones that we've got here. I'm going to decorate that with the cupcake I've got here. So that's, you can just break it up. As long as it forms like a long shard, you can just slowly break it up and then remove it from the skewer. You have to be very careful when you're removing it. Don't break the sugar, because let it dry for a while, and then there it is. So I've got like a nice shard in the cupcake. So just stick it in there, and it's a nice decoration that you can have.
Delicious!